And just like that, we're here. Anyway, welcome to Stairway to Seven. This is, of course, the documentary series where I chronicle my experience through the 2019 Pittsburgh Steelers season. And needless to say, the last month since the last time I posted anything related to this has been interesting. It's been weird for a number of reasons. The preseason has gotten underway. The Steelers went 3-1, won their first 3 games, lost to Carolina. Midway through that, they lost their wide receivers coach, Daryl Drake, who passed away with chest complications unexpectedly at St. Vincent College. And it's just been a weird off season that feels kind of refreshing and kind of odd, especially when you see what's been going on with like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. That's been the big story of the early off seasons. But now that they're gone, especially since Antonio Brown's gone, it's Saturday, September the 7th, and if you haven't been following that saga, that's been going on. That's just took to a whole new level just today with the news that Antonio Brown wants to be released from the Raiders because of the stuff that had been going on the last couple of days. Just look it up, people, if you're watching this from the future. But yeah, I could go on about that one. But needless to say, the Steelers should be happy that that's not their problem anymore, and they can get back to focusing on football and all that. And they're going to need to do so this weekend as the season begins in Foxboro on Sunday Night Football as the Steelers take on the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. And even that's weird because, of course, I'm a Steeler person. That's typical for me not to like New England after what they've done to this team in the last couple of years, but I didn't get mad at them the last time they won this last Super Bowl for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe because it was a terrible Super Bowl to begin with, mostly because neither the Los Angeles Rams didn't bother to show up, really, and the Patriots, as much as I don't like them being in the Super Bowl, they at least did something to get that 6th Lombardi this time around. It didn't feel like it was. It didn't feel like the Rams had any other plans to be there. They felt humble because, wow, we got a break in the NFC Championship game and we stopped the Saints from going to the Super Bowl. But yeah, what did you do in the Super Bowl? Oh, we did nothing. You didn't do anything. And so the Patriots at least did something in the Super Bowl to actually win a 6th trophy. I hate that they did it, but I can't get mad at them for it. But yeah, the Patriots last year were not that good, and I know a lot of people were very skeptical about the Steelers starting the season in Foxboro, getting the Patriots out of the way right now, but here's the thing. This is probably the best time to get New England, because think about what happened the last 2 times that we got the Patriots in December. 2017, what happens? Jesse James should have had a touchdown, but the refs didn't do it. Ben throws the pick 6, and then that completely knocks the Steelers out of the number 1 spot of the AFC. The next year, they finally beat the Patriots in Heinz Field, and then what happens the week after that? They lose a critical game against the Saints. They win against the Bengals, and then Cleveland throws the the interception to Baltimore that pretty much shuts the Steelers' playoff chances down. So, the way I figure it, with the Steelers and the Patriots, you get this game out of the way right now, you don't have to worry about playoff implications hurting you in the last half of the season. Yeah, if the Steelers can somehow get a win in Foxborough this weekend, they could easily move their chances of getting better playoff positioning now, but what happens if they lose? Everyone's going to think, oh, the Steelers season is over. Well, no. It's the first game of the regular season, so what do? You move on, you win the other games. You got Seattle coming to town next week, and usually West Coast teams don't usually do well around here on the Eastern Seaboard. Then you go to San Francisco to beat the 49ers, which I think they'll do. You go to Cincinnati. Cincinnati comes here. Baltimore comes here. Those are easily winnable games. So where are we at? That to be about. Let's see. So if the Patriots were to lose, Steelers were to lose. Excuse me. If the Steelers were to lose here, they beat Seattle, they beat San Francisco, they beat Cincinnati, they beat Baltimore. I think they can beat Los Angeles in LA. Honestly, that's 5-1. So even if they do, so I think they can. But they'll be perfectly fine here. But of course, you got to look at the records. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, they aren't usually very good in Foxboro. Especially with Tom Brady under center. The only time they've ever won in New England, Tom Brady was not under center. That was the year where Tom Brady tore his ACL. He got injured, or he was out for that 2008 season. And of course, the Steelers beat the Patriots there, and they went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So, going into this game, it's going to be weird because both the Steelers and the Patriots kind of are in similar positions right now. The Patriots don't have Rob Gronkowski anymore, which is pretty much the Steeler killer, which is funny because he's the only player on the Patriots I actually did kind of like. Probably mostly because he's from around here. He's from Woodland Hills. But yeah, he's not there anymore. They don't have a capable tight end to replace him. So that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of the Patriots to use him, but you still have Julian Edelman. You've got Demaryius Thomas, who is questionable at the time that I'm doing this, which is about 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. And, Tom Brady's like Ben Roethlisberger. He can usually find receivers to get to. He'll find Julian Edelman. Plus, he's also got some capable running backs behind him, too. James White's there. Sony Michel is there. The Super Bowl, pretty much the only person who scored the Super Bowl touchdown. And meanwhile, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've got a good running back core, too. James Conner's there. Jalen Samuels. It'd be interesting if Benny Snell gets some time in there. The wide receiver core now with Antonio Brown gone, it's going to be interesting. Juju's the number one wide receiver for the team. You got James Washington, who had a pretty good preseason. Dante Moncrief could do some great stuff here and there. The door's open. Ben doesn't have to really worry about spreading the ball strictly to AB. He can spread it all around now. He can go to anyone he wants to. But even the Steelers don't have a whole lot of tight end. Vance McDonald is a beast. He's probably one of the better tight ends in the game right now, next to Travis Kelce. Who else is there? I'm trying to think of who else might be. I think now that Gronk's gone, Travis Kelce is the only real major tight end that I think is probably the best tight end playing in the game right now. But Vance McDonald, especially after what you've seen last year, he's a beast, man. But you also have Xavier Grimble and then Zach Gentry. I don't know, man. It's an interesting scenario we find ourselves in with these two teams. The Patriots aren't usually very good in September, really, especially after what happened last year. They beat Houston at home. They lost to... Who did they lose to last year? They lost to Jacksonville. They lost to Detroit. They were 1-2 in September. Actually, I take that back. It was the first 3 weeks of the season. The fourth week was in September, and that's when Miami came to town and they beat them. So they're 2-2. Excuse me, but even then, that's still an interesting factoid, especially going into this weekend, because the Steelers actually have a chance to actually make this a much closer game than I think a lot of people are expecting it to be. I think a lot of people are expecting this to be another complete blowout. Steelers aren't going to show up and all that kind of stuff, but the Steelers should actually make this a close game. I've even heard some people say they might actually win this. I'm not ready to buy into that yet. As much as I'm a big Steeler fan, I know that getting any hope up for the Steelers beating the Patriots is usually not a good thing. Like last year when they actually beat them, I was surprised because I actually had the Patriots winning that game in last December, but they actually came out and win that game. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows what might happen there, but for right now, my prediction this weekend is that I think New England is going to win this one. It's going to be a close game. I think it might come down to either a last-second touchdown by Tom Brady or a field goal by Stephen Gostkowski. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think the Patriots go on to win 1-0. I think they'll lose next week in Miami because they don't usually do very well down there. But then when the Steelers have the Seattle Seahawks come to town next week, I think they'll actually win that game. So they'll both be at 1-1. I think New England will have the upper hand at least this first time around. But then after that, the Steelers, they have 5 easily winnable games that I think they can win. I think, like I said, I think they can win in Seattle. I think they can beat Seattle at home. I think they can win against San Francisco even though they're not very good on the West Coast. They can beat Cincinnati, which I don't know why that's going to be a Monday Night Football game. They can beat Baltimore. They can beat and I think they can beat the Chargers on Sunday night in LA. So, but for right now, I am going to say the Patriots are going to win this one. I could be completely wrong. Hopefully I am completely wrong. But we'll see what happens when the game is played tomorrow night. Alright, so it's about 2 o'clock on Saturday night, and when I finished that first part earlier today, I didn't really talk about the defense and my overall predictions for the season as a whole. I was going to get to it, but then I just completely forgot about it as I was trying to do some other stuff during the day, and then some other things got in the way, and so on and so forth. But I will say for the defense, I think this could potentially be a defensive slugfest, like like how the kickoff game was this past Thursday with the Bears and the Packers. Both of the defenses are pretty good. For the Steelers' defense, I think, has improved dramatically, especially with the addition of Devin Bush. They also brought in Mark Barron and Steven Nelson, and the Patriots' defense still has a lot of the same people from the previous year. Plus, they made some new additions along as well, including Michael Bennett. They picked up Chase Winovich in the draft. They got Jawan Williams from the draft as well. They just signed Jonathan Jones to a new contract. And I might as well say it right now because in the last, over 12 hours since this, Antonio Brown has gone to the New England Patriots. He asked for it to be released by the Raiders earlier today. They did it, and I don't know. I mean, there's just so much I could say about that one. But you know what? He's not going to play tomorrow. And I don't even think he's going to be at the stadium, because I don't think he can be at the stadium because the league offices are closed for the weekend. So it won't matter this time around, but chances are if the Steelers actually win this one and turn out to be as good as I think they can be, we'll probably see the Steelers and the Patriots with Antonio Brown on the Patriots sideline in the playoffs in the not too distant future. So I didn't talk about my predictions for the season as a whole. I do think the Steelers will make the playoffs again. I do think they'll be an 11-5 team. They'll probably lose tomorrow to New England. I'm trying to remember who else I had them losing to. I think they'll lose to Cleveland when they go to Cleveland on Thursday Night Football, because I'm kind of iffy on Thursday Night Football in general. Since Fox this past year, Thursday Night Football in general, this past year was kind of iffy to say the least. Like, there were definitely times when you could kind of tell that there was some games that were kind of fixed, like particularly the Jets and Browns game, the third, I think it was the first one, might have been the first one or the last one before they went over to Fox, but that game kind of felt like kind of iffy in a way, like in terms of, like, I think they knew that Cleveland was going to eventually win that game beforehand. But with that said, like, that's one I think they'll lose. I think they'll also lose to the Cardinals because I'm not going to lie, the Steelers do play down to competition sometimes, and the Cardinals are not going to be a good team in 2019. I just don't think they are. I don't think they're going to win that game. I'm trying to think of who else I had, because there was two other teams that I think they lose to. I think, if I'm trying to remember correctly, I think I had them losing to, I don't remember what in my predictions, but I think I had them at 11-5. I do think that, like I said, I do think they have a chance to win the next 5 games after tomorrow. I think they can win against Seattle. I think they can win against the 49ers. I think they can win against the Bengals easily. Ravens, I think that one will be a tough one, but I think they can win that one. Chargers, I think they can win that one. Then the bye week. And then after that, in comes Miami, and then the next one after that, the Colts, which without Andrew Luck, that's not going to be as tough as a game as it could be. The Rams, I think they have a good chance of winning that one because like I said before, the West Coast teams don't usually do that well on the Eastern Seaboard. The Thursday night one against Cleveland, that's the one I think they'll lose. The one against Cincinnati, they'll beat Cleveland at home. I think they'll lose to the Cardinals. I don't have them losing to the Bills. I think they'll beat the Bills. I think I might have had them losing to the Jets, maybe, but I could be wrong on that front. And I think the Ravens, I think I've had them. I think they might lose to the Ravens, but I think at that point they should be able to at least salvage a playoff victory. But like I said, I don't remember my predictions particularly since they've changed dramatically over the last couple of months. But I think I had them at 11-5. I think they can go 12-4. Like, I think they could beat Baltimore both times. But I mean, we'll see what happens. But in terms of like the rest of the NFL in particular, the one I think that is the predictions I have, I think the Patriots will win the AFC East. They didn't really need AB there to beat that. I think the Steelers will win the AFC North, although I had Cleveland early on winning that, mostly because of the roster. I still have my doubts about Cleveland. I just think they're going to be like the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles with the dream team. Everyone thought they were going to win the Super Bowl and all that, and then they went 8-8, but I changed that recently. I think the Steelers will win the division. I think the Texans will win the AFC South. I think the Chiefs will win the AFC West. Cleveland, I think, will get in as the first wild card team. And the second wild card team, I think Jacksonville will get in. I like that is Nick Foles can actually be that quarterback that Jacksonville was looking for. I don't think Blake Bortles was a good quarterback at all, but they still had that great defense. And I think Jacksonville can pull off an upset and be the wild card team in the AFC playoff picture. In terms of the NFC, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East because, let's face it, the rest of the division's not looking too good right now. The NFC West, I have the Chicago Bears, even though Green Bay pretty much ruined my first prediction because I thought Chicago was going to win the kickoff game. But Green Bay, I'll talk about them in just a second. But the NFC South, New Orleans Saints. The NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams, not a whole lot of change there. Green Bay, I think, does get in as the first wild card. And the second one, I'm going with the bold one. I'm going with the 49ers. I think if Jimmy Garoppolo is just as good as he had that promise back in 2017, coming back from this ACL injury that he had last season, I think the 49ers can really do something good with this roster. It was a tough one between that one and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I think Bruce Arians, of all the new coaches coming in, I think he'll be one of the more successful ones easily. So those are my playoff predictions. Like I said, I had the Steelers going 11-5. They could go more, could go less. 11-5, I think, is just the right amount. I think they have a good enough roster to actually put together some big wins and hopefully return to the playoffs. And, I mean, we'll see what goes from there. And stranger things have happened, and we will see what happens. Hopefully by tomorrow night, I'll have some good things to say about the game that we just had.
Baby, wake the fuck up. Huh? They're in New England. Who do you got tonight?
Well, Bob, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I think the history is on the Patriots side. They haven't lost to the Steelers here since 2008. Matt Castle was the quarterback then. Tom Brady, 5-0 against the Steelers here in New England. And I'm going to stay with the Patriots. I think they're going to win this game 27-17.
All right. That's what Rich says. What do you say?
Bob, I think there's a lot of reasons the Steelers can win that game tonight, and it would not surprise me at all if they do. But I'm not going against history either. The last time they played up there, I picked them to win in the AFC title game. Oopsie. I'm going to pick the Patriots 27-24, Bob.
Charlie Batch is here now with his prediction.
I'm looking at this game. Everything's telling me to go with New England in this game, but I think the Steelers, watching the unveiling of the banner being dropped for last year's Super Bowl title, I think these young guys are going to step up. Steelers will go in the final drive. They will win this game 34-31 on a Chris Boswell field goal.
Well, all is good in Steeler Nation if that happens. I think this is psychologically a huge game for the Steelers. I know it's week one, but there are playoff implications already. Anytime you deal with New England, you're talking about playoff implications. You don't want them to have home field if you can avoid it. And the psychological part of this, the Steelers need to prove they can win there, and I think they will tonight. 27-24. I like Charlie have Boswell after a perfect preseason to have a perfect day one, and the final 27-24.
as we'll take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, smartly wearing the all-white uniforms down in Florida where it is hot and humid. And guess who's getting the football first? Pat Mahomes and the #1 scoring offense from 2018. That return goes to just about the 24-yard line. We'll see another kickoff right now. Rams put it skyward, and the Panthers content to take that one at the 25-yard line. How is Cam Newton's shoulder? We will check that out shortly. But we've got to go to the off-season Super Bowl champs, the Cleveland Browns. More hype for this Browns season than we've seen in decades. Baker Mayfield's first snap of 2019. The right guard. And as we see that first play for the Cleveland Browns, all 7 games have now kicked off, so we can say the magic words. 7 hours of commercial-free football starting now. The field or not, in this case, Minnesota was called for defensive pass interference. Mike Zimmer threw the red chip off of the television airwaves. We understand there has been a power outage in the stadium in Jacksonville. However, the football game is continuing. The details are a little bit sketchy right now, but we understand that the stadium, or at least parts of it, has lost power, but it's a day game, so you don't technically need electricity to play the football game. The officials are apparently keeping the time on the field, but the CBS crew that is covering that game is not on the air at this moment. So they continue to play. If there's something notable that happens, we will update you when we can. An update on the Kansas City-Jacksonville game. We have learned it's the CBS production truck that has apparently lost power, so the game continues in the stadium, but the television broadcast is not available to anyone outside of that area. So the Chiefs did kick a field goal, so we did not see the Chiefs field goal. It's a comfortable lead for Kansas City. They're at the 2-minute warning. Chiefs are going to win that game. If the touchdown happens, we'll effort possession. Punches in the touchdown there against what was really a very good Dallas Cowboys defense last season.
And welcome to Gillette Stadium, Foxboro, Massachusetts, for the season debut of Sunday Night Football.
Pittsburgh Super Bowl cap. Kick is on the way. It's good. The Patriots are Super Bowl champions. Jumbled and Fox. Champions looking for great catches along the city. Intercepted. Tangled up. Touchdown to Hines Ward, the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. For a touchdown. The first franchise to win 6 Super Bowls. Gronkowski makes the catch. The Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title.
The Steelers have deferred. One thing that killed the Steelers last year was the kicking game. Boswell, who'd been very good up until last year, missing 2 game-winning or game-tying kicks. They still wound up 9-6-1, but didn't make the playoffs. They were that close to being 11-4-1 or whatever. As the fireworks go off over Gillette Stadium, which opened back in 2002, and that is Brandon Bolden, who had been with the team, went away for a couple of years, and now he's back.
And we begin a new Steelers season.
This opening Sunday night. Connor is the running back as they start from the 12. A little toss back to him, and Connor coming off a good year up to the 16-yard line. He goes. So Ben Roethlisberger, leading the league in 04, part of that heralded quarterback class. 5,129 passing yards, 36 touchdowns last season, 16 picks. There was a lot of drama going on in Pittsburgh last year with Le'Veon Bell holding out, never coming into camp. We all know about Antonio Brown, so it was very quiet in Pittsburgh this preseason. 2nd down and 6. 4-man rush. Roethlisberger's pass is caught, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster clearly taking over as the primary receiver now that Brown is out of town, and he comes off a year in which he had 111 catches.
And this was the question coming in here tonight. Juju Smith-Schuster, who would he get? Would he get the double team, or would he get Stephon Gilmore? So far in the first 2 plays, it has been Stephon Gilmore steps up Andrews on that first pass.
They split Connor out wide right. They go 5 wide, which they do a lot. More than any team in the league last season. And
Look out.
the pocket throws on the run.
Go, 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 go.
And the University of Pittsburgh for a gain of starters.
Ben Roethlisberger, Miami University.
James Conner, Gary McDowell.
Juju Smith-Schuster, USC.
Dante Moncrief, Ole Miss.
Washington, Oklahoma State.
Vance McDonald, Rice University.
Alejandro Villanueva, United States Military Academy. Ramon Foster, Ripley High School.
Marquise Pouncey, Lakeland Senior High.
David Castro, Stanford.
Matt Filer, Bloomsburg.
Fowler's the new starter as Marcus Gilbert was traded. And on second and short, Connor will move the chains.
Not done.
Brady's owned them, especially in this ballpark. So Pittsburgh did beat them last year. But Heinz Fielders Connor again picks up a couple. Let's take a look at the New England. They got this missing Kyle Van Noy because his wife, as we speak, is in labor. Marissa, and no doubt he is watching on his device in the hospital room. We would imagine Jalen Samuels is the back. Samuels is the back. Connor was hurt in the game last year. He didn't play in the game against the Patriots, and Samuels had a tremendous day. Stack a couple of receivers to the right. On third down and 6. Ben's going to air it out deep downfield, and the pass is incomplete, and there's no flag there. It's Johnny Holden. He's just activated. Jonathan Jones. New England.
Not off to a good start here.
After these messages.
I knew it was coming, but maybe luck will turn around. I am not happy right now.
To the end of the third quarter with the score, the New England Patriots 30 and the Pittsburgh Steelers 3. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. It's caught here by Washington. Get down to the final half minute.
I was kind of hoping to see Jared Stidham a little bit tonight. The new backup, rookie.
Let Brian Hoyer go.
Brady does not like coming out of games. We've seen that before.
Nope. That will be McDonald. Stops the clock with 6 seconds. There's Stidham right there on the backup job. But Auburn, after starting out at Baylor.
Now, Auburn runs that little bit of a different style of offense, and so not the pure drop back kind of stuff. But everybody around here is saying that he kind of reminds them of Phil Simms, a very accurate passer that is not afraid to throw the ball into some tight areas.
Meanwhile, England, did they call a timeout? Explain that one to me, would you?
Well, unless you had the wrong people on the field and you really did not want to give up a touchdown.
Defending chance, largest margin victory. So they go into a total prevent here.
That's why they were playing that.
Yeah. It's underneath. But still, that's some of the other timeouts I've ever seen. But it's
Oh my god, this was a disaster. Alright, so I just posted the latest post about tonight's game. And it pretty much tells you everything you need to know about how I feel about this game. I mean, what else do you need to say? Like, what else do I need to say about tonight? It was terrible. It was much worse than I thought it would be. Look, I knew that they were probably going to lose this one, but you could have at least made it much closer than it actually was. 30-3. I mean, I've had some time to think about it, and you know what? I wasn't wrong. I guess a lot of people weren't wrong on this. They lost. It's obviously there. They're going to get better. It's week 1. It's not going to define the rest of the season for them. They'll rebound. Remember, back in 2016, everyone thought after they lost to the Eagles 34-3, it was all over and done. They went to the AFC Championship game that year. Remember the year after that, they got blown out by the Jaguars at home. What happened? They go 13-3. It's not over yet, and they have winnable games. They can win against Seattle at home. They can win in San Francisco if they actually play well. They can win against Cincinnati. They can win against Baltimore, both at home. I still think they can beat the Chargers. So by the time the bye week comes around, they can still be 5-1. But tonight, it's just a bad loss all around. Kind of wish we can end this first episode of this on a better note, but you know what? It's over. It's done with. They don't have to worry about the Patriots screwing them over in the playoffs until they actually get there, if they can get there, which I still think they can. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I really don't know what else to say.